How does the NFL evaluate tight end prospects for the NFL draft? Stay tuned as we reveal the key traits that the league looks for in its future stars. Next up in our How to Scout series, we're talking tight ends today, Ryan. It's a position that's kind of hard to properly evaluate. I think it's one where a lot of new amateur scouts might make mistakes because it's easy to get caught up in college schemes. It's easy to get caught up with just general production. We got to look past a lot of things in order to find the key tenets that help us uncover who those guys are that can be reliable options in the league. What are the three traits that you focus on the most when you're evaluating tight ends?
It's hard sometimes, Joe, because when we talk about the tight end position, obviously there's different styles of tight ends. You talk about Ys that are more true inline players. You talk about Fs that are more flex options that can move around, play some H. But in an overall vacuum, the things that we are looking for, three big buckets. First bucket is going to be movement skills and the ability to just be an athlete. Number two is going to be the ability to win through contact, both at the catch point and navigating the middle of the field. And then the third bucket is going to be the impact that you have in the run game as a blocker.
First thing we have to jump into with Ryan is talking about mobility and athleticism. If you're not a good athlete, sure, you could be in a tight end room as a second or third option, just mostly as a blocker. But those that can move with silky smooth athleticism are the ones that become the most productive. What are we looking for in athleticism? Because it looks very different from a receiver to a tight end and from an offensive lineman to a tight end.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think for a tight end, you are looking for the ability to create separation in multiple ways. And a couple of the easiest ways are just based upon being an athlete, right? Like we're talking about kids that are going to be 6'4" plus, more often than not, 240 plus pounds. The ability that they have to be flexible athletes, to have good foot quickness and range of motion will only help them to be able to create separation as a route runner. And then also with being such a bigger body, match up against smaller body types like safeties, nickels, corners at times, the ability to just be a straight line athlete, right? To run by guys. You were kind of putting everything in a bucket. I always grade three key ways to create separation. One is with general foot speed, the ability to run by a guy. It's in that route running upside and its ability to win into the air. But in this bucket, we're talking about the first two here. Can you separate as a route runner, as an athlete? We're talking about that overall hip mobility and straight line speed.
The one big thing that I always focus on when I'm looking at athleticism in a tight end is just smoothness. Do you look smooth? Do you look like you are able to get upfield, across the field, change direction without it feeling super labored? If there is uncomfortableness, if there's stiffness, that is going to be a red flag for me and something that I will use as a negative in evaluation. But let's take a look at Brock Bowers, who by far already 1 year into his career is the smoothest NFL tight end.
If everyone remembers Brock Bowers coming out of Georgia, one of his biggest strengths was not only of his ability to just be strictly a great athlete, but the route running upside. And you see that here against the Denver Broncos. Gives a little bit of a nod on the inside release to this safety, which makes him overcommit. And then you see him break off his route and work to the corner. Ball a little bit underthrown into the inside, so Brock Bowers does have to gain extension in the air and win, but then you see that acceleration, that explosiveness, that long speed after the catch. Whether it is as a route runner or a straight line athlete, Brock Bowers is special.
Yeah, this is an example that was just hilariously easy for depicting. This is what a top 5, maybe even a top 2 athlete at tight end in the NFL looks like. And this is why Brock Bowers was so highly regarded as a prospect, as a college tight end very early on in his career. He gets upfield in a hurry. He's already got this Broncos defensive back reacting to him. You mentioned how he flashes his head to the inside to get that DB to take that bait. But the ability that so few tight ends have and why he's in this elite category is that he can fluidly transition his hips and get horizontal here with his cut, come upfield, get vertical to catch the football, and then to accelerate upfield so that nobody can catch him. This is just an overall domination play from Brock Bowers, who is on the extreme end of the spectrum. But if we're looking for and we want to categorize a guy as an elite tight end prospect, he needs to be able to do a lot of these things like he does on this play.
Well, and the clip also shows every part of being a great athlete, right? As we mentioned briefly, but you see the flash as a route runner. You see the fluidity, but you also see the springiness as an athlete to elevate. And then you also see the straight line speed to be a yak threat after the catch as well. So no matter what type of athleticism you are talking about at the tight end position, Brock Bowers demonstrates it here on this play.
Being a great athlete does not always mean you're a great tight end, though, Ryan. We have to have an ability to catch the football and to win through contact, especially in the NFL when we look at all these tight ends and we think that guy is a jump ball threat. He will be a target in the red zone where there is the most traffic. When we're looking for guys that are reliable through contact, how would you describe that and how do you evaluate that?
I mean, it's physicality and it's concentration first and foremost. The thing that people are going to think about most, and it's a very sound thought, is the ability to win at the catch point, right? To elevate and to work through contact. And you're absolutely right. That is a part of this bucket. But it's a lot more than that, Joe, because tight ends, just from their natural alignment, typically, they're going to work to the middle of the field a ton. And that is where the most traffic is, right? That's the most defenders. You are going to have to win in very tight windows at times, in between multiple defenders, when traffic is coming towards you, navigating zones, like all those types of things are in part of this conversation because you need to understand how to weave and to avoid and to ultimately work through traffic to the middle of the field at the catch point. And then you can even throw it into after the catch ability, right? Like typically, the bigger body, more physical tight ends, their ability to win after the catch is going to come off of physicality, the ability to work through arm tackles. All those things parlay into this second topic of physicality, working through contact, winning at the catch point. This is a part of the strength and power profile that we talk about so much with tight ends.
I like the use of the word strength. That's the way that I ultimately always look at this, is like, how strong are you before the catch, during the catch, after the catch? And that concentration just to be able to come down with the football no matter what chaos is going on around you. Let's take a look at a play from Tucker Kraft, the Green Bay Packers tight end that came out of South Dakota State.
Let's talk about Tucker Kraft and the breakout season he just had for the Green Bay Packers. Joe, we remember him coming out of South Dakota State. The body type, the physicality, the ability that this young man has just from a pure boxing guys out at the catch points. You saw it at South Dakota State. You see it here on this play. He runs a skinny post into the end zone. Great ball by Jordan Love. But the ability that he has to, one, box out this defender, to maintain and then to have the body control, to contort his body toward the goalpost and win through contact. This is a phenomenal contested catch by Tucker Kraft for a huge touchdown for the Packers.
I have very little to add to this because the play almost sums up the trait itself. I almost don't even have so much to include because I couldn't find a better example of the ability for him to remain concentrated. To also secure the ball the way that he does by latching onto it and then bringing it into his body to secure it as an extra point of contact. Yep. And then to just come down despite having a defensive back draped all over him. This is, again, another bit of an extreme example, but like when we're looking for a guy to show naturalness when there is pressure bearing down over his shoulder or over top of him, it could have been an interception. Him being able to rip the ball out of the air like a rebound and then to come to the ground with it is exactly what you should be looking for guys that can win in contested areas.
And you hear a lot, the cliche guys will say that size isn't a trait, it isn't a skill. Well, understanding how to utilize your size is absolutely a skill. And that's what Tucker Kraft has. It's not just that he's 6'5", 255 plus pounds. It's the fact that he understands how to contort his body and utilize his size to win in these contested catch situations.
Now, blocking is not a requirement. You don't have to be an elite blocker to be a starting tight end in the NFL. You don't need to block like an offensive lineman. But you have to be able to provide an impact. You can't be getting run over every single time there is a rushing play. If we're looking for blocking impact for a tight end, what are just some of the general pieces that you look for, Ryan?
I mean, effort first and foremost, right? Does a guy come off the ball? Does he have intent? Is he able to have some displacement power? Because ultimately, Joe, you're right. These are not offensive tackles. These are extensions of the offensive line, but you at least need to have a nice level of effort. And from there, there's the technical side of the position as well. Do you have proper body positioning? Do you take good angles to the first and second or sometimes even third level? Do you have the ability to play with good hand positioning to be able to lock guys out at the point of attack as well, depending on what type of blocking scheme that you're running out? So there's a technical side of it, but more often than not, it comes down to one thing. Do you have the intention and the want to be a plus blocker in the run game?
Now, you can have guys like Evan Ingram and Kyle Pitts that just aren't going to give you the effort or the impact that you need as a blocker. Their roles are going to be really different and specific, but you need to be exceptional in the other two categories to make up for that lack of impact as a blocker. Those that are the most well-rounded, especially as rookies, get onto the field sooner. It will not always be, Ryan, for me, like the end all if a guy is not a good blocker, but I do look for that effort that is given, especially when I'm evaluating draft prospects. Are they trying? Are they trying to get their nose dirty? Are they showing that they want to get better and that they can improve their technique once they get to the league? Let's take a look at George Kittle, who's one of the most well-rounded tight ends in NFL history, quite possibly, who is a fantastic blocker in the league right now. All right, Ryan, this play got me so excited when I was looking for a good blocking example, and I found it so quickly. I was like, oh, hell yes, George Kittle. The ball is flowing towards the left side, and he sees his victim. He sees this man, number 20 on the Seahawks, not looking, does not have his head up. Not only does he latch onto the inside of his pads and then proceed to drive his legs, he finishes his ass into the ground. And this is something that George Kittle does so often. So let's remove the technique that he's playing with, which is great, the leg drive, all that stuff. You see the effort and you see the want to kill an opponent, to finish them into the dirt. Those are the types of things that you should be looking for in tight ends that are exceptional blockers.
Well, and Kittle's a little bit of a psychopath, right? I think he gets more joy sometimes off of these type of pancake blocks than he does of just catching the football at times. But you're right, Joe. I mean, one, we're working some outside zone concept here. You see the ability that he has to move laterally to the second level to find work. But more than anything, man, the effort that he has and the ability to work through contact here on the second level, that's what really sets him apart. A lot of guys can get to this block, but they'll just kind of, they'll latch and they'll, move their body inside so that they're able to kind of just, utilize their body positioning to lock this guy out. But the fact that he has, from the contact point to getting him on the ground, getting this defensive back on the ground for the Seattle Seahawks, that is everything that you want to see from an effort, physicality, and then also good technique in the run game.
Folks, thanks for tuning in. Hit that like button and subscribe, and comment below what is something that you think maybe we missed that you look for when you like to watch tight ends. Let us know below. We'll talk to you later.